Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.
And we're back, fellas. It's your boy Bret Swinney with our first show of the season, weekly wrap up here on NetSN. I'm joined with our normal crew. Got Vincent Johnson, Corey CM Marshall, and the KO Kyle Owens. What's going on, fellas?
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
What's happening? What's happening?
First off, we want to officially welcome KO to the team full time this season. He is he's ready. He's got his hat.
The draft cap.
What to say, Magic Man?
He has been drafted in NetSN, so we're excited to have Kyle on board full time ish. Also, another exciting announcement, Kyle. You want to tell everyone where you're going to be every Friday night this football season?
Well, I will be. For those that don't know, first off, do I sound okay? I feel like I sound weird.
You sound good.
Okay. All right, thanks. Anyway, so for those that don't know, I work at KLTV as well. And so this fall, I'll have the opportunity to be shooting the game of the week each week for KLTV and KTRE. So I'll be at the game of the week each week there. I'll shoot the highlights, interview the coach after the game, get some locker room access with the camera as well. So excited for the opportunity. Looking forward to it. I'm going to miss calling games because that's what I've been doing for the past 7 years on Friday nights is calling football games. But excited to try something different in a different little avenue. So excited to see what happens. And I can't release where we'll be at our first game, but we've talked about it. So y'all know where I'll be the first week.
And I was going to say, Kyle,
right.
We'll keep you busy in the winter and the spring. Don't worry. If you're thinking Kyle's leaving the calling the games, no, we're going to have him on full time with us doing basketball, softball, and baseball. And so I know he's excited about that. It'll actually make it even that more exciting since he's going to be off during football season. It's going to get that itch is going to grow a little bit on you.
Look, absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? So,
and we'll have you here every week. We'll have you here every week with us on the wrap-up show. He's going to do the Beast Texas show. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Beast from the East, and so you'll still see Kyle. He's gonna be doing some other things behind the scene for us, and so
I might even show up on your TV screen one day. You just don't know.
Hey, that is true. That is true.
Okay. With the ring, he's gonna come out the TV screen.
So, how's everyone doing this week? Everybody excited to talk football? I mean, it's here.
Man, I saw a Colorado Buffs highlight me, and shout out to the Colorado Buffs, man. They got a great media team. They got a hype video on Twitter. It's hype. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Well,
football season, man. Ain't much to talk about. It's here. So,
well, speaking of excitement, guys. Wait, someone's entering the arena. It's his 24th year covering high school sports, football specifically. His second year with DFW Inside High School Sports, named the 2022 THSCA Foot Pal Sports Writer of the Year. He has an unapologetic take and brutal honesty in high school sports. For 4 decades, he was a senior in high school when his Plano East team tragically choked away the game against John Tyler at Texas Stadium.
Oh, wow.
He represents the DFW Insider High School Sports, and his favorite person in the world is KO.
Oh, I didn't know who you were talking about until just now.
Kyle Owens. His favorite person's actually Kevin Owens. It's the professor himself, Matt Diggs. Matt, welcome to the wrap-up show.
I'm glad to be here, and I know you got 2 people who on your set right now who don't give a damn that I'm here right now, and KO is defeated, but you're happy I'm here, and that's all that matters.
I'm happy you're here, Matt. I'm happy, man. I'm happy. I'm excited. We have some, heated battles on the wrestling in the wrestling ring when we're talking wrestling, and so I'm excited to see how it takes to the gridiron. I'm excited.
But Bret asked me to come here to be the voice of, because he's a fair and impartial arbiter of high school football. So he brought me here to speak highly of the DFW schools as you speak of your East Texas schools. Because as we know, just like 8-5A in Division II got taken out by all the DFW schools, we'll be here to do it again, and I'll be here to tell you all about it.
So, and I thought he was as apropos to Matt to be on this particular show, because we know the 6A, 5A teams of East Texas, they tend to cross paths with the DFW teams quite frequently in season and in playoff action. So Matt's he's got the inside connections there, so he's gonna be able to give us some inside scoops on that and tell us why our polls are wrong, because that's where we're gonna start first here. First segment is Matt. We do a poll for each show. We'll have a poll for 4A next week, and we'll have a 3A, 2A private schools. This week's a 6A, 5A. Now, last year there was a little controversy. We did a top 10 for 6A, 5A in East Texas, and we had the likes of no offense, Tyler High, Tyler Legacy, those guys getting in our poll and some people's votes at 2-8 and 1-9 type records, and it was a back and forth debate. We decided to shrink that this year to 5 schools. That way you have to earn your way up to get into our poll. So there's still some controversy there, but I'm going to go down and kind of give you a rundown of where our polls, we all 4 vote, and all 4 of our votes are equal, and it calculates out together. And this is our first release of these polls. No one else knows. These guys don't even know how it came out.
I was gonna say, we don't even know.
That's why I was like, I don't know.
So here we go.
It's news to me.
We're going to start from 5 and go up to 1. At 5 is going to be Texas High and Texarkana. And then 4 is going to be Marshall, 3 Lufkin, 2 White House, and number 1, and to me is undoubtedly the best team in East Texas in the 5A classification is Longview. So what are you guys' thoughts on the way the poll shook out?
You said White House is number 2?
Yes.
They had a good year last year, so I mean,
now I will say we can start the debate at the top because I have the, what you guys voted, and 3 out of the 4 of us picked Longview number 1. Someone did not vote Longview number 1, and a very surprise. I have a beef with this one, Corey Marshall.
I
Do you want
knew
to
it.
tell them
I knew it.
who you picked number 1? So Matt can
Well,
start.
Brett Swinney. Since I didn't really just take the vote seriously, I picked Tyler Legacy at 1.
Huh?
And it went through. So I was like, hey, let's shock the world, Tyler Legacy. And you know what? Listen, clock it right now. It's 8:44 p.m. right now on August the 2nd. If they go 10-0, I want all the laughs. I want all the laughs to just stop. Okay.
They will not.
If they make the playoffs, I don't need to go 10-0. But if they 7-3 is a good 10-0 right for them. All right. 7-3 is a mythical 10-0. We'll take that.
Well, Matt, they're playing a lot of your schools up there. Is how off is this judgment of Corey here?
Yeah, I mean, my outside pick is I have them making the playoffs in the 4th spot over Roy City this year. But I mean, that's their 3 losses. It's the Mesquite Horn and the 2 Rockwall schools, but they're not beaten the 2 Rockwall schools or Mesquite Horn this year. So to that end, I don't think that Tyler Legacy is clearly your number 1 team in East Texas. I don't even know if they would be in the top 5, but I appreciate a good bit. I mean, there's a lot of reason for optimism over there, a new coach and that quarterback coming back for Tyler Legacy. I'm a big fan of his, and I think he might be onto something if we want to call them our dark horse pick of East Texas. But number 1, woo! It's my guy right there.
Hey, we got some live viewers here. Let's get them involved. We got the hashtag We Want Corey started. Keith Whitman, one of our broadcasters, he's got that going. Looks like him and intern Claire are watching live. Thanks for joining us. Hey, and our one of our number 1 fans is back. It's Vince's boy Eddie. He's here. He's saying Texas High should be number 2. He's got his poll: Longview, Texas High, White House, Marshall, Lufkin, and then Tyler Legacy. So basically, Tyler Legacy on his number 6 there. So, not a bad.
Marshall would be a little bit higher than that.
Yeah. Okay. So we saw who picked 1. We'll move down to our picks for 2. These were kind of spread out. Me and Vince did have Texas High number 2 ranked in our poll. Kyle has White House and Corey has Longview. I know why I picked Texas High. I just think, they're always so solid. They're bringing back some players. I just think that White House, I know they had a good year last year, but I just not a believer yet. They could be good later in the season. I may move them up, but right now I'm not quite there with them. And of course, Longview, I had them 1, so that's why I didn't have them 2 there. Kyle, you had White House. What do you got there? You got some inside information. You got that inside connection now.
I'm not even gonna try and bluff it. No, the only reason I picked White House over Texas High is because I know more about White House than I do Texas High. That's truthfully the only reason. There wasn't really a rhyme or reason to it other than that. And White House had a good year last year, and they got a lot of good players coming back. They got 8 returning on offense and 8 on defense, so they got most of their squad coming back. I think they can improve. So I got them as a projection as a number 2 early on.
All right, Matt, what's your take on what do you think about number 2?
I'm a little sad that y'all are saying a one and done team last year had a good year. I mean, that was not what I would consider a good year. Lovejoy is a good team, but I mean that score was indicative as
that whole district. You could say the whole district had a bad year then because they all lost in the first round. We were done talking 5A D2 in the first round of the playoffs, and Longview was really the only team that did anything. So, I mean, I think that was the shocker that, I thought 2 of those schools would pick up the victories, but all 4 of them losing was a big shock, I think, to us at least.
Yeah, it wasn't a real big shock to me as far as that goes. I mean, that district over there, and you got Melissa and Lovejoy looking that you do not want to be 3 and 4 seed in that 8-5A because it's not going to be pretty. I do think this year the top two have a decent chance, but I mean, we're talking, we're talking teams that can play and have a good year. I mean, I think Crandall's going to be on the way down, and that 4 seed is going to be a little bit iffy in 7-5A. So I think we might see a split this year. But I agree with those who have said, the listeners who are talking. I think Texas High is clearly your number 2 team in your East Texas Bowl.
Okay. Vince, you want to talk? You had Texas High with me. What was your reason for going with them?
Honestly, they had a good year, and I was looking at how many people they were having return. Uh, Texas High, it was. I think I put. Did I put White House?
You have White House 3, yeah.
I put White House 3. At first, I think I had White House 2, and then I went back and I was looking and kind of gauging, and I said, Texas High kind of seemed like they had a good year in their return.
Now, White House, you remember White House shocked Texas High last year? Remember they
did. They
beat them.
That's why I was I had White House at
and
first.
Then they came, and then they went ahead and they lost that last game.
Yeah,
and
because remember White House did lose. They blew one to Nat. And that to me really, it kind of said a lot to me as far as where I was going to put the two rankings. I still believe that top 3, they were both in there, but that loss to Nacogdoches last year to me was just unnecessary, especially for a team that I was ranking so high. So that was the reason I went with Texas High overall over White House.
Yeah, our boy Eddie was at the Texas High White House game, I believe. So as he's saying, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was.
I remember some controversy at the game, if I'm not mistaken. Something happened toward the end of the game where I can't remember what happened. Something funny happened toward the end of that game, if I can recall. But I do want to say this, since my polls are jacked up, I'm just going to add some 2 cents. Nonetheless, that district was tight. As you can recall, like that district was completely tight. Marshall had to win. I think they had to win the last game to make the playoffs. And it was like a 3 or 4-way tie with the 4th seed or something like that. It was weird. At some point in time, Nacogdoches could have been in the playoffs. They won a couple of games. It was weird, but the end result was, I think White House ended up being probably one of the better teams in the district, no doubt. And they got a lot of teams. They got a lot of guys returning. A couple wide receivers are gone this year, D1 wide receivers. So I don't see how they're going to run the football. Offensive line is going to be their bell cow. They still got a good offensive line, but I don't know, man. This is going to be interesting. Everybody's hyping up White House. I would love to see them, play a good schedule, a good game. Especially if there's a Marshall loss.
How hard is that to say, Corey? How hard is that to say?
Well, I have to think differently. I got a different hat on now. So I got to think differently. I can't.
That's like Kyle,
in my soul.
That's like Kyle wishing Van good luck to win a game.
I can do that now. I couldn't back in the day. I can do that now easily. Now when it
comes to Kyle said we grew up. They over it. Yeah, ain't that right?
We grew up, man. That was
down the road from White House. I ain't got nothing bad to say about it.
I ain't grew up that much. I still got blue and gold in soul. Don't let that bite. Hey.
Okay, Jersey White House, something.
So Corey's wearing a jersey now. You gonna go that far? Where you? Come on with the White House Wildcats hat.
Negative.
I'd rock it.
I can't do that.
I would rock it.
I don't know, man. It's too much maroon. I don't know. That's too much maroon.
I still remember my principal losing that bet and having to wear that White House hat all Monday. So I ain't ready to touch that yet.
All right, so Kyle, everyone had White House at 3 except you had Lufkin. Give it your reasoning on having Lufkin there at the 3rd spot.
Listen. I've been doing, at the radio station, I covered the same, 18, 19 schools every year. So I knew those schools great. Ain't none of them 5A or 6A. So I had to go with, now I'm trying to learn 107 teams that KLTV and KTRE cover. So I'm just going off the teams that we cover, and that's why I picked Lufkin. I ain't gonna lie to you.
No
I was
problem.
going off the teams
No-
that,
no
that
problem.
we cover.
So no problem expanding that knowledge, right? Just comes right to you. It's a lot harder.
It's a lot of schools, man. A lot of schools.
Well, at least you're doing it during the day now. It's part of your job there. So
Yeah.
you're getting a little access. That's something that Kyle's going to bring us because he's going to be at the game of the week every week. So he's going to have some inside knowledge and get some, sideline, intel and good camera work and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to benefit him and probably his picks because he's going to have a variety of games he's going to by the end of the season. He's going to know who's
The
good.
big thing about that though is I'm actually coming in at the start this time, so it's going to be a true battle. I came in behind the 8 ball last season and I couldn't catch up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna come in now. I'm at the start of the year. I'm gonna have a good start. We're good. I'm coming for your title, is what I'm saying.
The title. It's somewhere
Oh
around
God,
here.
don't do it. Don't gas him
No,
up.
bro. I don't even know why
Don't
you
gas
brought
him
that
up. Don't
up,
do
man.
this. No,
I don't know why
don't do
you brought
that.
that up.
All right,
No, that's not. I can't do the video.
No, I'm not going to play the video yet. It's early. I do want to get some chat going. We got C-Rat. I wonder if this is Conrad.
I think so. So.
Shout out to Conrad over at KMU. He's kind of filling those KO shoes over there. Doing a
Yeah,
great
he's gonna
job.
be a play-by-play guy this year.
I like Longview, he says. Okay. Eddie talked about the bad calls. I think that's what you were referring to, Corey, in that Texas High White House game. And he's saying that White House has a weak schedule. I'm really surprised that Eddie hasn't started putting his numbers out yet because he has his numbers. Well, I guess maybe Texas High is a weak game on the schedule. Is that what he's saying?
I don't know. I'm not going. Never mind. I'm not going to say anything.
All right, we're gonna move down to 4. We're gonna move down to 4. Well, Matt's back here on those third spots. Matt, where would you have fallen if you were voting?
I think I would probably, since I had Texas High 2, I would probably put White House 3. I think they're very similar, that district. Lufkin ain't even going to make the playoffs, and y'all are talking about them being in the top 5.
Did you not hear? No. Listen, I admittedly said that I only chose from teams that East Texas covers, right? And so I was just picking Lufkin out of not prior knowledge.
Why don't you look like Longview Pine Tree, or why don't you give another bad team some love if you're at it out here? You could just throw some random bad teams
Hold
out
on, let's not compare
Shade in
Lufkin to
the
Pine
building.
Tree. Let's not do that.
Come out.
Come on now.
Shade in the building.
Let me drop a stat on you, Matt. Let me drop a stat on you, Matt. Lufkin made the playoffs for 23 straight seasons from 1998 to 2020. So I feel like they're not going to be down for a long time.
What did they finish last year? They wasn't
6-4.
They finished 6-4.
It wasn't horrible.
They're not horrible.
Yeah.
Listen, they had an 8-point loss to Lancaster and a 9-point loss to West Mesquite.
And they got
you're talking
Hold on, let me
almost
go back. If I recall right, they had to win like the last 2 games or something like that to get in, and that's where they fell short at.
Look, I'm not saying they're top 5, but I'm just saying.
You literally said they're top 5 KO. It's what came out of your mouth.
No, that's what came on the polls.
It's going to be.
I wouldn't have put them that high.
To Kyle's defense, moving down to the next vote, I had Lufkin at 4, and
thank you. See,
okay, so but we're also only voting on East Texas teams. So I do have a beef though with one Vincent Johnson, who now is going back to what we said we weren't going to do this year, and we were going to do a top 5 East Texas, right, guys? Isn't that what we decided?
Yep.
Where did I put?
Do you know who he put? Lancaster. If they're in East Texas, then I must be making $1 million show.
I ain't got no map in front of me. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna say
Is your name Corey Marshall?
I did.
That map is tricky.
Lufkin on there first. I didn't want to say this, but I did have Lufkin on there first, and then I took him off, and I was like, no.
Okay.
So
I changed it right before I sent it in. Yeah.
Matt, do you cover Lancaster, Matt? Is that in your region?
I do cover Lancaster,
okay.
And as over here, I see in the chat, Lufkin losing to West
they look good.
Is a bad loss.
I was gonna give them some love.
Yeah, Lufkin losing. Okay, so So
That's
here's
last year. We're moving
this is
forward.
for you. Keith gave you a special message here. He said geography is hard, Vince.
It is. It is. I'm geographically challenged.
Yeah, what can I say?
I mean, I don't know if you're picking off Corey's list or what, Vince, but that's.
I'm surprised Corey didn't do it this year.
Yeah, Matt, Corey
Oh,
doesn't know what East Texas. He was confused on East Texas schools last year, so we have to remind him, which schools are in East Texas. He has a little trouble using Google Maps.
It's okay. I get a lot of
was-
slack
it was
because
just coffee.
I rank Longview as part of the DFW area because they're in DFW district, and I would rank Lufkin and Tyler High as part of that because I think you rank one, you rank them all, and it's kind of dumb for you're like if you're like Lancaster and you're like number 3 in DFW area and you play unranked Longview, it doesn't really make sense to give. You have to give the context of a district, and I think.
Well, that's why we decided to just do 5. We were kind of doing that last year, but since we're just doing 5, these are the best 5 teams in our region. So that's why we're prefacing, if we were voting like last year, yes, I would agree with Vince. Lancaster would be up there, and some others. But since we're not doing that,
we had to reach for teams last year. It was kind of tough.
So we had some people voting, like I think me and Vince were voting one way, and then Corey was throwing in,
he started throwing. What was that?
Tyler High, number 6.
I was just throwing the East Texas.
Won a game.
I was throwing the East
I
Texas.
don't know why I want to feel like it was something about Kaufman or something too. Didn't you?
Yeah.
I didn't put
It had something to do with Kaufman.
Yeah, he
You
went
didn't know
for
where Kaufman
Kaufman.
was or something.
Yeah. Well, so our 4th pick, Corey and I had Lufkin. Of course, Vince had that random Lancaster pick, and then Kyle, you had Marshall there. Tell us about Marshall.
Oh man, I was just choosing out of teams. I really just focused on that East Texas basically district, that 8-5A Division II, and so that's really where I was going with that. And Marshall, to me, they had a they only made the first round of the playoffs, but I think I like their offense. They got some big boys over there in Marshall, and I think with the threat of being made a meme, size matters over in Marshall and in football. So I think that Marshall will have a better year this year. And again, I was just picking out of teams that I could think of that are in that area. So
yeah, I think Marshall, they were competitive last year. I mean, that district was kind of all a big mess, and it kind of sorted itself out toward the end of the season. There's somebody that I didn't put on my poll, but I think could be one to watch out for is Hallsville. They're that outskirts of Longview. I think Hallsville could be sneaky good in that district. You've got, of course, I know Matt kind of was joking about Pine Tree, but they're returning 16 guys. And, the Texas Football Bible has picked them as 4th team in the district. They're picked to actually make the playoffs this year. And so for Pine Tree, that would be a huge success. I mean, they're not really known for their football. And so that's a team that could be, I mean, we have a lot of teams, I think in this poll, and we get down to the bottom, I mean, it's going to be, I think Longview and then everybody else, honestly, this year. I mean, it's going to fluctuate, depending on who plays who and in that case. But going down to 5, I have Marshall. Vince had Marshall as well. Kyle had Tyler High, and Corey had Nacogdoches. All right, guys. I know why I picked Marshall. I think they were competitive this last year. I think they're right there on the edge of possibly doing something. Tyler High has got a new coach. So tell us about that, Kyle.
that's now I do have some actual information on why I picked Tyler High here. I got to talk to a couple of players at Media Day a couple weeks ago, and just I know every team goes into it with high expectations, just, thinking, hey, we're going to win it all this year. But they had it was kind of that old Cujo. Like it was that Cujo was coming back and Coach Woods coming in. I asked him about that. And the players are just excited about having kind of a new voice in the locker room and on the field. So I think they're going to be playing some inspired football this year. And I'm not saying they're going to go win state or anything, but I think they can definitely get back to the playoffs and maybe win a game or two.
Yeah.
You start talking Cujo, You start talking Cujo, there's a lot of people's hair standing on the back.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You
I'm not.
can't just throw that around.
Yeah, you can't throw.
Matt loves
It's
that.
kind of
Cujo.
like
That's
like
his
Miami. You know, you don't say the you no more because
Listen,
people start looking around.
I'm
like,
not
wait,
saying they're
what?
going back to it tomorrow. I'm just saying it's a step in the right direction. That's all I'm saying.
I got you.
I agree with you.
See
Kyle.
some old
I do.
JC flags come
I
out.
thought that they might win 7 games this year. I was conversating with a couple of buddies and we were talking about, like you said, the coach and the direction things were going, and I was like, looking at the schedule, I could see them winning about 7 games. They probably shock everybody. The hardest part is when they get in the district.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's gonna be their challenge is when they get in the district. So
I think they need to start fast too. They need to start hot. Like need to come out, win the first game or two.
Because you got to build that confidence.
Yeah,
Well,
get off to a good start.
I think that game against Legacy in week 2, I mean, for both schools, 2 new coaches, 2 coaches trying to build something. I mean, it could be right. It's going to be. I mean, it's always big, but it's one of those like it could send one program, forward and the other one, backwards or spinning in neutral, right there.
Yeah.
That big game. All right, Matt. So you heard what we've got. Well, let's let Corey talk about Nacogdoches. I'm curious about this one because Nacogdoches got spanked by a lot of teams last year. What do you think? Why do you think they deserve a top 5 vote?
So reverse. I want to talk about Tyler Hart real quick.
Oh, he doesn't want to talk about it.
You know why I didn't. That pick wasn't real. I was seeing the thing. But I do want to say this about Tyler. There's that first game of the season. They got blasted. I won't say they got blasted last year, but they did lose that first game of the season. Like you were saying, they do need a good start. It's a good start. That Mesquite Horn game, to me, I think that's that middle of the road game. It's that Summit game. You know what I'm saying? Like they just start off the season 2-0, and then next thing you know, that Mesquite Horn game, they're 2-0 as well. I mean, that could be that game that propels them on into the district. And hey, man, you never know. Anything can happen. They 7-3 is not a bad record at all, especially if you can make the playoffs. That's not bad.
All right, so we got Eddie's got some info. He said Marshall's having to replace a lot. They're returning 4 offense and 5 defensive players. So they have more than half of their starters to replace. So I mean that you never know how that's going to work. You could replace some and add some guys
that
are
reloading or replacing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Marshall does got their first team quarterback coming back, so
and that's big. That's massive.
Pine Tree Van week 1 will be very interesting. Start the season.
I
agree because Van, they were young last year, so they're bringing back quite a bit. They'll be pretty good, and of course they're in a tough district with Carthage and Center. But Pine Tree that'll be interesting to see because people are high on Pine Tree, high on Van. 2 teams in different classifications. It's a very interesting game. I agree. Eddie's got Texas High has Frisco Lone Star and Colleyville Heritage, where White House goes North Forney and Jacksonville. And he's saying that's a weak scale. Now, I wouldn't say Jacksonville's going to be a little bit better than people give them credit for this year. It's Coach Holman's second year over there, and they were tough and competitive last year in some games. I mean,
they lost their star, right?
Injuries late.
They lost their star receiver.
Yeah, and so in that Chapel Hill game, I was there in the Tomato Bowl. Vince was there with me. Yeah. They played well with Chapel Hill for about a quarter and a half, and then Chapel Hill was able to just go out. So they've got some good things going. Coach Holman's a really good coach, a defensive-minded guy. He was a defensive coordinator on the state championship team for Chapel Hill back in 2011. So he's really good with the kids, and I look to see them fight for that playoff spot in that class. So I wouldn't say that's just, equals week schedule. I mean, White House always plays.
He's just comparing the two.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't compare the two, honestly.
White House is a 45-point favorite against Jacksonville. Wow, I don't know about that.
How do they already know that?
45.
That's what.
Where are you getting that number from, man?
How do you already know that? I know, but I'm saying, how do you already know that when we're still 3 weeks out from the start of the season?
45-point favorite? No. Look, somebody's dog didn't like that either.
Matt, what do you say about that spread? 45 points?
I mean, White House is a good team. Jacksonville has obviously got some struggles that they're going, but certainly they're not. I mean, Texas High has got a much tougher schedule. You got Frisco Lone Star, probably a state ranked team, and Colleyville Heritage, an area ranked team. Those are two pretty salty teams right there.
Well, I mean, sometimes the tough schedule works out for you. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, you go in, you play some tough teams, you get beat up and come out banged up and not healthy, and then you get into your district schedule and you limp through it. And so, sometimes it can turn on you in an instant like that. He's saying that Pigskin Prep is where he got that information. So, and then Eddie's saying, now I know why he's saying this. Tyler High's new coach, OSU alum, because his son is going to OSU. So congrats
Okay.
to Caleb.
Congratulations. Man.
Congratulations. He's signed to go to OSU. That's awesome. So, but yeah, I think honestly, and we'll go back and look. We're just gonna kind of break down each district a little bit, kind of tell you what we think. So we'll start with the Tyler Legacy District. Okay, they're in there with all the DFW teams. I think Tyler Legacy just is looking to improve and give themselves a chance at a playoff spot in this district. Now, Matt, what are their odds of who you've got up there in that district? What's Tyler Legacy's odds of sneaking in to a playoff spot?
I have them making the playoffs. Like I said, I have them going in I have them going into the fourth spot. Bo Trahan, the new coach over there. I think sometimes y'all were talking about you need that new voice, and I think Tyler High could definitely benefit from that new voice. But I think Legacy might benefit from that new voice. I really like Luke Wolf, the quarterback coming back over there, and they got Micah Pearson, the really talented running back coming back. They have an offensive infrastructure that is coming back that I think can really have success. And you take Royce City last year. Royce City was a surprise team in making the playoffs. They graduated everybody. I know Mesquite High and it's kind of looking at things. I don't think North Forney is. I think that's the one team we can kind of strike out. But I think you're going to see Mesquite, Tyler Legacy, and you're going to see as well in Royce City all fighting for that last playoff spot. I'm giving the edge just because of that offensive returning talent to Tyler Legacy. This Mesquite and Royce City, they got to answer who's going to be quarterback, who's going to be running back. Legacy's got those questions answered, but I don't think they're going to be competitive with the top three teams.
Well, Eddie's saying projected 2-8, and they would be in that sixth spot, which that's where Dave Campbell's has them as projected sixth, behind both Royce City and Mesquite, like you mentioned. So, I mean, that's just how close it is. I think it's one of those things. It's who brings their A game. Injuries are going to play a factor because those are always huge. Not as big at the bigger schools because you've got more guys, but if it's the wrong guy get injured, it can make a big impact at certain positions for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Legacy, going back to the Pigskin Prep poll, he's very high on Mesquite. Jerry Forrest, who does the Pigskin Prep poll, I don't know why he's high on Mesquite. I've looked at their roster. I see who they've got coming back. They got a lot of question marks coming back. And Legacy, like I said, their skill players are pretty set. So I think that may get adjusted in the first couple of weeks as they play a non-district schedule. And I think that'll take care of themselves. But Rockwall and Rodney Webb, the really talented coach, is back at Rockwall Heath. He was the coach at Rockwall for many years. I think Mesquite Horn is a team to keep an eye on as well. Mesquite Horn has a chance to be really good this year. They return just about everybody as well.
Hey, and Eddie gave you a compliment, Matt. So you might want to take that and run with it because Eddie's tough. So he said great breakdown there of that. He's saying Royce City at 4-8. I guess that's meaning they're 3-7, and then they win a playoff game, I guess, and then lose one. Man.
Well, everybody's going to beat 9-6A, so that doesn't surprise me. 9-6A is the Garland ISD district and the two Wiley teams. Not a very good district, buddy, over there in 9-6A.
Do you have any Garland fans of yours, Matt?
I'm loved in Garland. I've got like a season pass over there. They keep me on speed dial over at the AD office at Garland.
Man, even with talking that much bad news about them there, they still let you have.
They know.
Okay, so but we've kind of broken down that district, and I'm gonna let you have this little segment, Matt. So 6A DFW, tell us how you think it's going to play out to our audience.
Well, I mean, you got the reigning and defending the Roman Reigns of football when you have Duncanville and DeSoto sitting in 11-6A, and that's your basically your second round of your playoffs for anybody who gets out of the 10-6A, 9-6A by district. I think those two, as loaded as they are going to be back there at AT&T again this year, and obviously all roads lead through them in Region 2. Region 1 is a lot more interesting. You got some really good teams. You got some young teams, and a team y'all need to kind of consider as you keep an eye on it is McKinney High, and that's Longview's week 1 opponent at the McKinney ISD Classic. Thursday night football, you're going to have Longview and McKinney playing each other. I'm leaning toward picking McKinney in that game, and I love Longview. I'm a big Lobo fan. I was picking them against Toledo last year and looking wrong as far as that goes. But McKinney is loaded for bear this year, and they're a really good team. And I think a lot of people, when you just hear the names, like if we're like KO and you don't really know anything about football, you just like names, you hear Longview and you hear McKinney, and you're like, oh, Longview's got that. Not this year. Not this year.
Wow. Daggers thrown across. Man.
That's all right. I knew what it was when I knew he was coming in. I knew what it was. We're good.
Look,
I dodged some of them,
Kyle, I don't know what you did.
He came with the disrespect,
bro. I don't know what you did,
man. If
man,
you have,
Vince. Vince Weller tuned into the wrestling show.
I feel like I feel like I'm watching a boxing match all over again. I'm like, hey, put your hands up, man.
And it's the thing is, Matt doesn't have any. He doesn't play favorites either. That's Jeremy.
Yeah, see, I'm not the only one. That's just Matt's character. He's just gonna go after somebody, and I like it. I like it. I like somebody has a differing opinion. We can go back and forth because at the end of the day, I could probably hit up Matt on the Twitter X and say, "Hey, what's up, man?" I'll get a response still, and it may not be, it may not be a bad one. So at the end of the day, we're still cool. And I like it.
X, yeah, I still don't get that.
I don't want to get.
Is that what it's called now? I thought it was just changing the logo.
Yeah, it's X. I don't know.
X. Hey, they're starting to change this now. Instead of tweeting it to post and repost instead of retweet. They're starting doing that. So it's interesting. Conrad says Heath game made a side district there. Matt, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean that's two coaches who know each other. Rockwall is loaded for bear too. I mean, both Rockwall and Rockwall Heath basically have quarterbacks coming back who are sons of or brothers of D1 guys over the last couple of years. You got Caleb Hoover over at Rockwall Heath and Landon Locke at Rockwall. So they've got really good quarterbacks in the system. Rockwall Heath had a little bit of controversy in the offseason. Their coach was fired after making kids do too many push-ups. And that was a whole thing over in the DFW area. Wow. So we got a new coach over there, and they brought in Highland Park's AD, who was over at Denton Geyer, Rodney Webb, who also coached at Rockwall before going to Denton Geyer and then the Highland Park job. So he's got familiarity with Rockwall ISD. He knows the athletic office over there, and he has been one of the best coaches in the DFW area for a while. So those two teams are probably your top two, and they've had some banger games the last couple of years. I think one was like a 77-75 triple overtime game a couple of years ago, the kind of thing that makes people like KO get crazy as you're thinking about deadlines and whatnot, getting your TV stuff prepped. But that's the kind of fun you're going to have in this district. I think Tyler Legacy is going to be part of that conversation. It's not easy to go east. I know you get Dairy Palace when you go east. You can stop in Canton and get your your fix of some banana pudding ice cream. But you have a decided advantage when you head out there. And when we get to 5, we start talking about 7-5A. I've got some hot sports opinions about that Lancaster Longview game last year. Speaking of home cooking, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, that's a good segue. We're going to roll over into District 7, 5A Division 1. Of course, Longview is kind of everyone's darling pick to win that district. They've got, arguably one of the best running backs in the state coming back, Taylor Tatum. It's kind of his show now. Hale has now graduated, and so he's their workhorse. And so it's going to be a battle. Honestly, as much as we talked about Lancaster last year, it's still Longview Lancaster, I believe, in that district. And you've got teams like McKinney North, Forney, Lufkin, and Tyler High that I think those 4 teams are right there, kind of are going to be fighting again for those 2 playoff spots. Matt, how far off am I in agreement? Are you on the same page there?
Yeah, I think we're definitely on the same page as far as that goes. I mean, Longview, other than having to answer that receiver question and the quarterback question, they got everybody coming back. When I was doing my research on them, I mean, just some big names like Willie Nelson and Chase Smith and Taylor Tatum, and Elijah Johnson. I mean, you just go right through and it's like, he's back, he's back, he's back. So Longview's got the Cats coming back. I think quarterback's going to be their big question. Who's going to step in and take over at quarterback, and will they have efficiency? I've always argued when we talk about high school football, I think quarterback is the most important position on the field. So the fact that Longview has that question for me, that's a big question for me, but I'm sure people in Longview who know the program, know the situation, know the quarterback situation might feel a little bit better, because when's the last time Longview's had a bad quarterback? I mean, that's been a pretty good tradition over there for a while.
Well, you got Andrew Tutt and Maverick Rowe listed. I don't think they have a, at this point, I don't know who they're going to go with. That's who's listed down as their players to look for quarterbacks. So, guys, what do you think about this district?
Who's up first?
Go ahead. Anybody can start.
Oh, I thought I was on silent. I was like, what's going on? No, I mean, Longview's got it. I mean, just I'm not picking. I'm not. I am by East Texas. I'm not picking anybody above an East Texas school, especially not from East Texas. So I'm not going that route. You got me messed up there. But no, I mean, it's Longview's still. What, the past 10 years they've just been that team. In East Texas, the most dominant. 6A, 5A school in East Texas, and it hadn't changed just yet. I just kind of wish there was some parity there somewhere. I just wish the Tyler school would come up and be a little bit better. I would like to say, I think Tyler's going to be a little bit better this year and compete for a district title or something like that. That would, I don't know about y'all, but it's not the same when you don't have a good Longview Lufkin battle or Tyler Lufkin Longview. It's not the same football in East Texas when neither one of those schools can play each other for a big game, and it's just not the same. So I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that feels that way. I'm probably not, but I wish those games really meant something when Longview and Tyler played. But at the moment, it's going to be Longview. They got it.
I mean, honestly, you go back past 10 years ago, it was always a fight between Longview and like Tyler High or Lufkin. There was always a battle with them. They, even if one on paper looked better than the other, they had to get through each other. And it made for an exciting experience, an exciting game. And now it's just Longview is so much better than that entire district. And I don't really know when that started. I don't know how it started. But it started. Makes you look at that district and you think nobody's coming out of there but Longview. Nobody's surviving Longview. I mean, they lost one game last year, and they're bringing back, 14 people or something like that. I don't know. They're bringing back a lot of guys, and it just seems like there's no hope in that district. So it's hard to look out there and say, oh, well, we got to change. Man, I don't even know how you coach up to play Longview. I'm going to be real. Like, I don't know how you tell your guys about Longview. Like, I don't know. I might start out with something like, let's just get through the day. Let's just get through the day. Nobody quit on me.
And Eddie's got
start crying in pregame.
Yeah, Eddie's got Lancasters having to replace most of their defense, and that's not something you want to have to do playing Taylor Tatum.
No, not at all. Man, that's gonna suck. Who else is in that district?
You got Lufkin and you got Tyler High down there.
Yeah, it just, I mean, man, like, let me say this. And some people didn't agree with me last year, but Tyler High did play a convincing first half against Longview, which made me get hope for the whole district. But Longview woke up in the second half and just destroyed them after that. And it reminded me why there's no hope in this district. So, At one point, I thought, okay, well, Lancaster might be able to play with him, and let's see what Luff can do next. But the way they treated Tyler High that second half, it was almost like a little stepbrother or something like that. Man, they just did him wrong, and yeah, they overpowered him. And this is it's Longview show. I mean, that's for real. It's Longview show. It's Longview show. I honestly, if I would be shocked if they lost a game in district. I would be shocked.
Well, you might be shocked then because Lancaster is not a bad team.
You think they're gonna do it?
No, they're not bad.
Our friend Eddie, he mentioned that they did replace a lot of their defense, and they did. But let's look at who they got coming back. They got Corian Gibson coming back. I believe he's a Clemson commit. Jacoby Williams on the defensive line. I've had a Lancaster coach tell me that they think he's the best defensive line player that they've ever seen, and he's a freshman last year, and he was a D1 all district guy there. They got Josh Brown coming back at linebacker. So the players they got coming back are D1 studs, and they got everybody coming back on the offensive side of the ball. They got 2 quarterbacks who they rotated. They got 3 receivers, including another transfer coming in, and they got a running back coming back. So you look at all Kewan Lacey. So they've got 6 skill players who are probably D1 kind of players, all playing, all looking for offensive time there. And this year the game is in Lancaster. It's not in Longview. And I know there were some people who thought, we talked about a couple of calls and some of the games y'all were talking about earlier. There are some Lancaster people who are very miffed and said if they didn't have that East Texas refereeing crew, that game would not have gone Longview's way. So that's a pure 50-50 game, I think. Now, obviously, Longview, I always invoke Ric Flair theory when it comes to, these teams. To be the man, you got to beat the man, and Longview is the man. So, you got that going on, but at the same time, it's in Lancaster, and you're not going to have that East Texas officiating crew. So, but we know Longview considers kind of that DFW area, Lobo Stadium West. They love coming out 20 and playing big games in Dallas, and I don't think they're going to be intimidated coming to playing Lancaster at all.
Yeah, Eddie's agreeing with you. Eddie's agreeing with you, Matt. Earlier you said that they would lose to McKinney. That's what he's projected here on his thing. So, Kyle, what do you think about game? What do you think about this district, Kyle?
Y'all said it all. That I agree with everything y'all said. I think it's Longview's district. The only question is, are they going to lose a game in district? I don't think they will, but that will be I think it's a 2-horse race between Longview and Lancaster. So that's everybody else just fighting for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, and I think there's a chance that we can get one of those East Texas schools up in that top 4 other than Longview. They're going to have to step it up and improve off last season, obviously, but I think you've got Lufkin, which they were right there, and then Tyler High with the new coach could inject some.
Longview, Lufkin, Lancaster, and Tyler High all make split. Man, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Almost an East Texas sweep, but
we can dream. But I want to piggyback off of what Vincent was saying, because I don't know if you're looking at some of these teams, Lufkin and Tyler High, these are not bad teams. If they were in some different districts, they would be
not bad at all.
Yeah. But the DFW area teams have just gotten. Forney is like ridiculously good. They've gotten a couple of transfers this summer.
Recruits? Did you say recruits, Matt?
Transfers? It happens.
He said it right.
You got the recruiting portal over here in
Somebody
the DFW
just got
area.
in trouble. Somebody got flagged.
But Kelvin Riggins, from South Oak Cliff, 5-star linebacker, they just got him in the last week, and they got a quarterback transfer over there as well. So they're very good. McKinney North is beatable though, and if I remember my schedule right, McKinney North's got to go play Tyler High at Rose Stadium. So that's a very winnable game for Tyler High, and that's one of those games that can flip on you. But McKinney North has been in this kind of district for a while, and when you got to go out and play, Barbers Hill or Port Arthur Memorial in the first round, like they did last year. So they've got that experience in traveling. But McKinney North, I don't look at them on paper and go, oh, that's an amazing team. They just get the benefit of the doubt, having made the playoffs last year, and they got their quarterback coming and running back coming back as well. But I really like Derek McFall, quarterback for Tyler High. That is a special kid right there, and he is a difference maker. And if he gets hot, it's hard to pick against Tyler High when you're talking about the kind of that middle tier.
Yeah, and he's a multi-sport athlete. I mean, he's a nice little player on the basketball court as well. McFall is. We've seen him in person, and it seems like he's been there forever. I know Corey. We covered him. Was it 2 years ago when in Tyler High when Chapel Hill played them, and he's one of those guys he's just been on varsity forever, and it seems like he's never going to graduate. But this would be his chance, and he's going to have the eyes on him this year, be his team. So let's move on down to well, actually, let's let Matt. So 5A Division I for you in DFW. How do you see it going?
I got Longview 1, Lancaster 2, Forney 3, McKinney North 4, Tyler High 5, Lufkin 6, North Mesquite 7, West Mesquite 8.
Well, and I'm talking about the whole, like, for DFW, for your area. How do you see it shaking out?
And we're the champions over here as well. I mean, but you look at Division Two, or you look at Region Two, and obviously you got Mansfield, Timberview, and Frisco Lone Star as your kind of your big dogs to keep an eye on as you're having those playoffs. But again, it's Aledo. I mean, we saw it last year. You have to go through Aledo. They've got everybody coming back, but this is the first time that they had a coaching change this year. So Coach Buck and Coach Wood, kind of the architects of that 20-year run that Aledo has had. It's like if John King goes, you start to wonder, okay, well, what's it going to be like with life after him? I'm very curious about that. But Aledo, they've got about 10 to 12 players coming back, all D1 studs, all players who contributed to that state championship. And I think I saw a comment that Aledo is Longview's kryptonite, which has been very accurate. So whoever gets out of Region 2 is going to have to go through Aledo, and it's hard to go through Aledo. And so I think that coaching change might be the X factor as far as that goes.
All right. Well, let's go down to the Division II. We've got, District 8, 5A Division II. This one's pretty much all East Texas district here, Matt. I'm sure you still, because you're still watching, because they're going to match up against 7 5A, and that's kind of, I guess it's on the edge of DFW. Those are kind of the I guess easternmost schools that are kind of growing out this direction. So let's talk that. We'll also talk 7 5A because that will actually go along with this district. We've got of course Texas High. I think, to me, they're at the top of the district. I think they've got their tradition. They I think they ended up in the tie last year for the district championship. They lost the game to White House. Eddie's got the controversy where there's some iffy calls. Who knows? But to me, and then it's them in White House. Like, right, to me, it's White House and Texas High. I think those two are above everybody else. We kind of showed in our polls. Everyone's pretty high on them. But honestly, you go below that, and I think for me, I know Corey, I'm sorry, but Nacogdoches top 5. I know it's not happening for them this year.
Listen, don't bring it up. I told you what happened. You got to bring it. It's a fake poll.
It's not a fake
I
poll.
did it just because.
Who picked this as a fake poll? Raise your hand if you picked this as a fake poll. Kyle, no, don't give him any more fuel to the fire, Kyle.
It's a fake.
I could throw.
Listen, okay.
I could throw at a board and have a better poll than that.
I tried to take it serious.
Okay. Who do I honestly think? Okay, clearly White House is probably the best team in that district.
Okay.
They got a lot of teams returning. I like White House over that district. They got some guys returning. I got you. Texas High, traditionally Texas High is always going to be. We know that for a fact. I do like Marshall. Not just because of my
I wonder
last
why
name,
you like Marshall.
I do like Marshall. I do like Marshall. I like what they did last year. 6-5. They won some tough games. They battled it out. Teams like that, I give them a lot of props. It takes a lot, especially when you haven't been, I won't say successful in years past, and you kind of battle it out. But those younger, especially trying to build a program, those younger guys don't forget to win, and winning is contagious. And so when you're trying to build a program, that means a lot. They got their first round game in at 6-5. Hey, they may go 7-4. Who knows? One game above the last year is okay. I don't think they're gonna come through and run the district or nothing like that. But I give them a shot. And then number 4, I do want to say Hallsville is probably gonna be that 14th. I like Hallsville out of that squad.
So what about you're gonna have Hallsville, possibly Hallsville and Pine Tree, kind of backdoor right outside of Longview rivals, fighting it out, looks like, for that last spot. To me, I think it's Marshall, Pine Tree, and Hallsville, 3 teams for 2 spots there in that district. I think you could shake them up. You expect Marshall to be above them, but the way last year shook out, you just never know. I mean, those games are just so close. I think I do like Hallsville as well, but don't count out Pine Tree. I think that all 5 of those teams are going to be real competitive, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody snuck up on White House or Texas High, and that made a difference in the district title as well.
I don't think anybody's sneaking up on them. I don't.
I didn't say I would guarantee. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
If it is, I mean, Pine Tree's got us. When was the last time you said, "Oh, we got to watch out for Pine Tree"? No disrespect. When was the last time you said you got to watch out for Pine Tree?
Not recently. Eddie says toss up between Pine Tree and Hallsville.
I'm quick to go with Hallsville on that more than I am on. I don't know. I'm just not really sold on Pine Tree yet.
I guess we'll see.
I wish you success.
We'll see week 1. They play Van. I mean, honestly, Van's always a really good team. They're bringing a lot back, and so if they come out and beat Van and put it to them, maybe that shows me something.
I'll change my mind. They beat Van.
They beat Van by 3 touchdowns. I'm done.
I ain't even gonna say that. You just beat them. I'll give it to you.
I got you. You earned that. No disrespect to Pine Tree. I'm just not. That showed me something.
He gonna stick with this week schedule thing, man. So he ain't gonna let
they didn't show you something last year when they played Texas High within a score. I mean, I pick 8-5A as part of my weekly picks because I got to keep an eye on them. And that district was so parity driven last year. I mean, crazy things week after week. I mean, you had Nacogdoches beat White House last year, and you can say, well, this, that, or the other. That's how close this district was. You had teams from 1 to 7 any given week could all beat each other, and did. And that showed itself on the field. I mean, you could look over the sample size of 10 games, who's going to last, and you can look at the cream rising to the top. But this district is a hell of a district, and they play each other well. You got rivalries in this district. The kids all know each other. This is a fun district. I'm a little jealous of you guys that you get a district like this. Every week you're going to have bangers.
I mean, that Nacogdoches game where they beat White House, it was kind of like I almost want to say that was like a trap game, because we were talking about that before. We were saying how they had already lost to Chapel Hill and how they had to win that game. It was, if they didn't win that game, it was no hope for that season. It was over. So I can understand the mindset being a little bit different. And they're not horrible. They had some athletes. It's just Chapel Hill was just a lot better than them. A lot of other teams just came out, and I think for the most part with Nacogdoches, they had the athletes. I think they just couldn't have it come together on the field to where it worked in their favor, especially against some more polished schools. But if you came in there and you wasn't giving them their respect, they might have snuck up on you. And I think that's what happened to White House. I think they snuck up on White House, and it was too late to try to bounce back from it. I don't like to hold that against White House. I have to hold it against them in some form. But I understand how Nat and why they had to win that game in particular, at the time.
That just looks, I'm looking at the schedule. That loss just looks odd.
It does. It just stands out. And you know what? I think what makes it worse is that Dak went on to lose the game after that. That's what made it.
Yeah, that's what made it. That's the worst. That's the worst.
I think we talked about it, fellas, on the show, that wrap-up show that week. We're like, okay, well, maybe Nacogdoches found something. And then they turned around and laid an egg the next week. Like, well, never mind. Maybe that was a fluke.
Fashion, it was just like, it's like that wrestler that get that boost of energy. They pop up real quick, and then they get choke slammed again. And it's like, man, just stay down, bro.
Well, they go through like 20 barbed wire fire tables, right, Matt? And they still get up.
5-star matches in District 8-5A. White House, when you look at things, and Eddie kind of talked about this, White House is probably going to be 4-0 going into that game against Nacogdoches. I was looking at Nacogdoches' schedule. They're probably going to be 0-4 again. That's going to be another trap game because, Nacogdoches plays a good schedule.
Yeah.
And the game was at home against White House. And the game was at home in White House. Then they got to go to – then they have to go to where? Who was it? No, actually, it was away. I'm sorry, it was away. I'm looking at something. it was away. So, well, at least they have the game at home this time. So.
Yeah, they're going to get them at home this year.
Man, if they weren't up for the game last year, surely this year, coaches got that one
surely this year.
circled.
That's
I
going to
mean,
be a good game.
yeah, surely got it circled. So, okay, so I know they took the sweep last year. 7-5-8 took it to a Matt. So what's 7-5-8 looking like, and what do you think the matchups are going to be that first round between your Dallas DFW teams versus the East Texas teams?
Lovejoy and Melissa are two of the top teams in the state, and I've got Lovejoy 1 and Melissa 2 in that district. I don't think anybody in 8-5A is going to beat those teams. You're going to have to go out to Melissa and Lovejoy, Collin County area, and play those road games. So I think those are going to be 2 wins. Terrell is sneaky good this year. That's kind of a fringe East Texas team out there on 80, and y'all might even want to call them an East Tech. If y'all call it, you could take them and put them in your top 5. I'll give them to you if you want to feel good about Terrell. Get a good team out there in your DFW area. Terrell against whoever that number 2 seed is going to be a 50-50 game. We saw Terrell beat Texas High last year, so obviously that's not a team necessarily you want to see in the first round. But that 4th spot, I think whoever wins District 8-5A should definitely get that win. But I think Terrell versus whoever is the 2nd seed out of 8-5A, that'll be a 50-50 game. So I'm seeing probably 3-1 with 7-5A, but I could also see it 2-2 if a 3rd place team like Marshall really, has a competitive game and can get up there to that 2nd seed, whether it's Texas High, White House, or Marshall. One of those 3, I think at least one of those 3 teams will get a win.
And if you're 8-5A, you've got to be thinking we've got to get a win this year. I mean, you come out of Beast, Texas, and you get swept by the Dallas district. That's just plain embarrassing. I think we really didn't have a whole lot to say about that. I mean, we were really surprised. I mean, obviously, like you said, Lovejoy and Melissa are both fantastic programs, and I don't think those 2 surprised anyone. But those other games, to go now that they've got to where it's a home game, and I really do like that, by the way. I like the rewarding those teams for finishing top 2. I like the rewarding of them getting the home game. I think that's a cool thing. I don't know if they'll continue to move that down the classifications or not, but I do like that in that first round. And so I just
Saturday,
think that's a huge
2:00 game.
That's a huge advantage though, to have a home game. So I'm surprised that they went on the road to East Texas and are able to come out with wins. That's impressive from 7-5A, honestly.
But, the tenor of Beast Texas, in my opinion, the base of that voice really doesn't start till 4A. So nobody out here in DFW is scared of East Texas. Even Longview, there's not really that fear factor anymore of East Texas. 4A, yeah, I think we're all respecting Carthage and Gilmer and that East Texas speed. They don't see any of that out here. But 6A, 5A, got to work on getting that roar back.
All right, so in total in DFW, Matt, Division 2, how do you see that shaking out?
I mean, all we keep doing is talking about champs over here. We got Duncanville, we got DeSoto, we got Aledo, we got South Oak Cliff. It is the area of champions, and I think South Oak Cliff is going to be right there as well. Region 2 is going to be, again, a banger. You got South Oak Cliff, you got Melissa, you've got Lovejoy, and a team I think it has a really good chance of advancing far as Mansfield Summit. Mansfield Summit finished 4th in that district last year, and they played South Oak Cliff in the first round, and South Oak Cliff needed a 4th quarter punt return to beat Mansfield Summit. South Oak Cliff got shut down by Mansfield Summit, and Summit's bringing back everybody this year. So keep an eye on Mansfield Summit. And then in Region 1, obviously, it's going to come down to Argyle and Frisco Emerson. Frisco Emerson is probably a school you've never heard of because this is only their 2nd year playing varsity football. But they didn't have any seniors play last year, and they got Mike Hawkins, the very talented senior quarterback from Allen who transferred over. So they are loaded for bear. So Argyle and Frisco Emerson are the 2 teams you got to keep an eye on in Region 1. And I think you're going to see the winner of that Argyle-Frisco Emerson game, because I think it's going to happen twice. They play in district and they're going to play, I think, in the regional finals. The winner of that will probably play either South Oak Cliff, Mansfield Summit, Lovejoy, or Melissa, and then that'll be probably your state champion.
Argyle gave South Oak Cliff everything they wanted. They gave South Oak Cliff everything they wanted and then some. That was a good one. So it's Argyle. Well, what do you expect? What do you expect?
Brett will talk about Stephenville next week or
Yeah.
next episode.
Yeah, it's Stephenville's 4A still, so Conrad. So they're in next the next one. We get that far. But yeah, so that's pretty much wraps up that Matt, we're gonna let you get out of here, and we're gonna kind of wrap up and talk about some things coming up on the network. But we really appreciate you coming out and giving us your DFW expertise and
Disrespect.
I appreciate that, and I know Kyle is waiting for me to get out of here so he can go back to being the bully.
Right. We'll see you. Are you going to be on tomorrow?
I got girls 7th grade B League volleyball.
I'm still waiting for you to send me your input on for tomorrow's show. Just send me some video. We'll play it on the show. Then we can talk bad about you.
We don't have to have video. We don't have to have video. We can just we could just have his picks. You can read them off.
There you go. Hope your rib is okay, Kyle.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I'm solid.
Since I didn't have those sympathy pains with your brother.
Oh, no. We're good. I'm good.
That was a great episode. Thank you for having me on. And
we appreciate it. Maybe we'll have you on again sometime during the season, Matt. We appreciate you joining us.
Appreciate it, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
DFW insider Matt Diggs, and I'd like to thank him for joining us. And man, fellas, this is week 1, and I'm already ready to talk about the next one next week. We've got 2 more preview shows the next 2 weeks. We'll have 4A next week. We'll talk about our poll and break down the 4A districts. We've got a lot of teams in 4A. I know it's just one classification, but there's a lot to talk about. A lot of good talent coming out of Beast, Texas. And then the next week, that's the 16th of August, we'll have our 2A, 3A, and private schools show. We'll break those down and talk about those schools. And then the first week, the week before, we'll kind of wrap everything up. We'll kind of talk about what we've got coming this season. It'll just kind of be just a kind of a roundtable session. We don't know really exactly what we're going to talk about. We'll talk about a little football coming up in week 1, and that's kind of what we've got going on. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Our wrap-up show is going to be a little bit different format this season. It's going to be more of just the wrap-up part. We'll talk about the previous week. We'll talk about our polls. We'll argue back and forth about who's right, who's wrong. And then we're actually going to have a new podcast. It's called Beast from the East. We'll be releasing that every week. I'm not sure our release time. We haven't quite narrowed it down. Once we do, we'll let you know. But that will be where we go to our top 10 games of the week, which will become our pick'em games. And we'll talk individually about the matchups, who we think is going to win. So you'll have to go there to see who we picked this year. So those guys, all those pick'em games, and you're looking for them, that's where they're going to be on a different place. So same guys, we'll have a roundtable discussion. It'll basically be a roundtable with the Netacine crew. So it may be us every week. We may be in and out. We'll have some other voices on as well. Kyle may bring his brother or his uncle Kevin. If he can get him on the show, that'd be awesome. I'd like to see him.
I'm working on it.
I'm off. He might have some time for you.
Yeah, I'm working on it. See if I can get him on a show one time. I got to hit him up.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll have to give us a plug for tomorrow night. Kyle and I will be on the Disrespect Sports Network tomorrow night. We're going to be talking WWE SummerSlam preview. I'm excited to talk about that. Seems like we haven't talked wrestling in a while either. It's been kind of a lull. So we're going to do that tomorrow night.
Now we're about to have too much because there's going to be 2 AEW shows back to back.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. They got high school football coming. In closing, fellas, you got anything to tell our audience?
Happy football season.
It's here. Hey, Eddie's confused. He asked if you're okay, Vince.
Am I okay? Eddie, we've been through this. I've been here, Eddie. I've been here. Where have you been?
He left. He left when Pleasant Grove got eliminated last year. He left.
I haven't heard from you since. Again, I was calling everybody over there in PG. I'm calling hospitals. I'm trying to figure out, man, did you get sick? What happened, man? I was wondering. I was worried about you.
And he was like, 1, 2, 3, Cancun.
Yeah, the hospitals, they was like, who is this guy Vince? He keeps calling me every week.
He said hibernation.
Okay, I understand. I understand that. I've had my seasons. I've had my seasons of hibernation.
All right. Well, I mean, it's good to have you full time with us, Kyle. I'm glad you're able to be here. You got the schedule switched a little bit, so now you're off a little bit earlier. Hopefully, that moves even earlier off as we move along. But we're glad you're able to not have to work and talk to us at the same time, and that's a little difficult sometimes. But we appreciate you making time. Vince and Corey and myself, we'll be also doing a new podcast this season called The Old Dog Show. We've got a little preview up right now on the YouTube channel. And then we possibly Kyle maybe working on some coaches shows. So we're gonna have a lot of different content. We're gonna keep Kyle busy, even though he's not doing games. We've got some things to keep him busy. Well, what is that? Is that your cat?
Okay, I was making sure that I wasn't tripping. Yeah, that's my cat.
Okay.
I was like, what was that? Like, hey,
jumped out of
You
nowhere.
got a dog and a cat?
No, just a cat. Just a cat.
Oh,
So-
I thought that was
So
your
Eddie's asking our schedule. We'll be here every Wednesday at 8:30. That's going to be the weekly wrap-up show will be here live every Wednesday at 8:30. The other stuff will be pre-recorded and we'll be releasing those in kind of a staggered. So there'll be different dates. We haven't quite, I think we kind of talked about the dates. We haven't nailed those exactly down, but we'll make sure that goes out social media and everywhere else. And once we know, we'll tell you on shows when that's going to happen. So it's kind of a new schedule. So we're trying to make sure we get everybody and coordinate, since it's going to be multiple people of us having to record these. So thanks for the question. It's a good question. That's going to do it for tonight's first episode of the season, the weekly wrap-up show. 6A, 5A preview show. Thank you again, Professor Matt Diggs, for joining us and giving his take for the 6A, 5A schools. For Vince, CM Corey Marshall, and KO Kyle Owens, I'm Bret Swinney. We'll catch you next time right here in the weekly wrap-up show. See you next week, everyone. Good night, everyone.
Peace.
Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.